Welcome to Stat 400 Week 3, your sample assignment. This is the video part 3 of 3. So let's take a look. So Week 3 sample assignment. Again, this is not your actual assignment. This is my sample assignment where I will be working with the OJ data as I've been working before, where I will be comparing the price of Citrus Hill and Minute Maid. So, the first question, are the prices between Citrus Hill and Minute Maid significantly different? For this, I would like you to first state your hypothesis, run the t-test, and incredibly important is to interpret the results. Second question is going to be, is there some collusion in the net pricing, sale price as opposed to the retail price of orange juice? In other words, are the people from Citrus Hill and Minute Maid kind of together on setting prices? So, as we've done in the past two assignments, we will talk about the data. This is going to be also very important in this class, as I will be referring back just to make sure that I have the right variables and so forth. Next, question 1. So again, let's state our hypotheses. Is the mean of Citrus Hill significantly different from the one of Minute Maid? So here I have two sets of tests, okay? This one is again I have my null hypothesis where I have the sale price of Minute Maid minus Citrus Hill, or are they equal? This is, are they equal? The alternative is that they're not equal. Another alternative is that the price of Minute Maid is greater than Citrus Hill. Another alternative is the price of Minute Maid less than Citrus Hill. The other test, which I've named HA2, is that, or HO2, the price difference, the mean price difference is equal to 0, or is it not equal to 0? This is extremely important to hypothesis testing because this is setting up what am I going to test. Referring to this is going to say, how am I going to code things in R? And again, as you see in the code in R, I will have labeled the alternative hypotheses exactly the same as in the code. Okay, moving on. Here are the results that we saw in the prior video. Okay? And no need to go over them all over again. I do have some, again, clarifications as to what is each component of a test telling us. Okay? So we already know from the prior video in R that Minute Maid is significantly different from Citrus Hill and Minute Maid is greater. Let's interpret these results, all of these. You don't need to do this. Just pick your hypothesis that you want to do for your assignment and then interpret the results. So again, here I have my hypotheses. Here I've run my test. Here are the results of my test. You can copy and paste in here just to show you the results that you got from R. Now, very important is that interpret these results. What do they mean? So here we have the interpretations of all the results. So my first alternative is that we retain the alternative hypothesis. It was statistically significant at the p-value level 0.01. If we look at the p-value that we obtained, it was less than 2.2 times 10 to the minus 16. So if my threshold is 0.01, which is the one I chose, you can choose 0.01 or 0.05. These are very common thresholds. Again, I find it to be significant. And that the mean is not equal to the mean of Citrus Hill. Okay? Fine. This test tells us that the prices are different, but doesn't really answer which is more expensive. Well, again, you can probably see which one is more expensive here in the confidence intervals. But again, you weren't testing that one was more expensive than the other. Here in the next test, HA12, we are testing that Minute Maid is greater than the price of Citrus Hill. Again, we retain the alternative hypothesis at the p-value 0.01 level and state that the mean sale price of Minute Maid is greater than the mean of Citrus Hill, which is, again, it's really great. I would add here what is the difference. You have your confidence interval here, that the mean difference is at least 12.5 cents. Okay, moving on. This HA13 was the test that we believe was not a very good test, where we retained the null hypothesis, not the alternative, be at the p-value of 0.01. What p-value did we get, if you remember? It was a p-value of 1.0, much greater than 0.01. And that the sale price of Minute Maid is not less than the mean of Citrus Hill. Again, this was a test that we shouldn't have done. Finally, we get to the test that was a little bit more efficient, and I think is better because, again, it's testing the difference at each store for each week that we have data for. And again, this is how I would like you to state your results, a little bit more complete than I've had here in the green, where I say, just like I say in the green, we retain the alternative hypothesis at the p-value 0.01 level, or if your threshold is 0.05, 0.03, your choice. The mean difference is different than 0. Furthermore, the mean difference is between 13 and 17 cents. I've rounded these numbers. This leading to the conclusion that Minute Maid, on average, is more expensive than Citrus Hill. The test is very similar to HA12, but is better because it's evaluating, again, the prices at each store for each week at the moment of the transactions. Okay? Moving on, the correlations. So, again, my question was, are the two prices colluded? Are they colluding in prices, Minute Maid and Citrus Hill? Is there some collusion in the net pricing? Okay? So, here I am. So, interpretation of the question, the statistical analysis, interpreting my results. So, I'm going to interpret the question. Collusion meaning, are the prices of Minute Maid and Citrus Hill moving in tandem? Are they moving together? That's collusion. That's one of the components of collusion. To prove collusion, we would need to further evidence than a correlation. Okay? Okay? However, this is a prerequisite. If they're colluding in prices, prices should be moving together. So we do the test, we do the correlation. Again, some explanations here. I have a p-value which is less than 0.01, so it is significant at the 0.01 level. And here's my estimate. Positively correlated, but very low correlation. Let me interpret my results. Although price movement of Minute Maid and Citrus Hill are significantly correlated, I don't believe there is evidence of collusion with respect to prices. This because the correlation is weak. There you have it. So, Appendix, my R code, as you saw this week, there wasn't too much code. Your code is likely to be somewhat of this size. You'll have different tests. You don't have to go through the battery of t-tests for the same thing. Just structure the t-test how you want to structure it. Okay? And finally, time to get started with R. Click on our studio icon on your computer and get started with this week's assignment. Best of luck, and until next week.